I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Good morning. Hello. It's Oops the Podcast. I'm Francis, and he's my co-host, Giulio. Hi, Giulio.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Splendid. Wow, look at your facial hair.
What's wrong with it?
It looks good. It looks like it looks like you kind of painted it on, like you're a woman who is trying to play a character of a man. In Juana Man. You look like Juana Man, or maybe like that Lily Singh woman who sometimes plays male characters.
Well, hopefully I look like neither of them, because otherwise I'll be canceled at some point in my career.
Oh no. Cancel,
Right?
cancel.
Cancel.
How's it going? Where are you? That's what we always have to start with.
Right now I'm in Vicksburg, Mississippi. It's nice here. It's like, fucking kind of random. I've like ended up in random places. People are kind of like, why the fuck are you here or there? Like, people are kind of confused by my route. But may I remind everybody that there's a global pandemic happening, and that I'm not trying to hit the hot spots of fucking Austin, and you know what I mean? This isn't what that trip's about. This trip's about getting away from people and seeing the country a bit.
Well, here's the big question. If you trace your route, it would seem as if you are trying to visit the last racism in America.
Right.
And are you seeing anything? Are you seeing any kind of like topplings of Confederate statues? Are you seeing any NASCAR garages with nooses in them? What's thing from that standpoint?
Well, I'm definitely hitting places that are like off the beaten path a bit. And it's been fun and funny, but like nothing, I mean, dude, it's the South. Everybody's really nice here. And people, in the sense that people are polite,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had some funny shit though, just like very simple things that like I wasn't expecting. Like I went to this place called Biloxi. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
I've heard of that.
It's like the Mississippi coast.
Mm.
And it's kind of like Atlantic City in the South. That's what I can kind of compare it to. It's like a casino town.
Wow.
It's not like I don't know if there's fancy parts of it, but like the parts that I was seeing were not. Dude, I went to this restaurant, and it was kind of like a last minute place. It was just a big seafood place, right? I forget what it was called, but it was right there, like on the boardwalk. And I asked the waitress, I was like, what's your favorite thing on the menu? Figuring that maybe she goes, well, the po' boy is really good. And in my head, I'm like, oh, po' boy, like, pulled pork, like whatever. But I was like, oh, what's on the po' boy? She goes, well, it's roast beef with shrimp on top. And like she lost me completely there, but I had to let her finish. She was like, and I think it's Swiss cheese. I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. No thanks. I'm good on the po' boy.
No po' boy. No.
No po' boy.
What do you think po' boy is short for? It's not short for pool boy, is it?
Do you know the answer to this?
No.
I don't either.
Definitely not pool boy.
Somebody was about to try to say pork, but they had to eat. They were like too busy slamming a bite in their face, so it's just pork.
Do you think it's poor boy? Because that starts to feel, it is poor boy. God, this is starting to feel insensitive.
Why is it poor boy? I don't understand. Why is it a poor boy? It's a delicious food.
I got it. Po' boy is a traditional sandwich from Louisiana. Almost always consists of meat, which is usually roast beef or fried seafood, often shrimp, crawfish, fish, oysters, or crab.
Oh.
Served on New Orleans French bread, known for its crisp crust and fluffy center. Origin of the term. Here we go. In the late 1800s, fried oyster sandwiches on French loaves were known in the New Orleans as oyster loaves, a term still in use. Sandwich containing both fried shrimp and fried oysters is often called a peacemaker or la médiatrice. The origin of the
Okay.
name is unknown. Popular local theory claims that po' boy, as specifically referring to a type of sandwich, was coined in a New Orleans restaurant owned by Benny and. All right, none of this matters. This is stupid. Nobody
That's
cares
interesting
about
though.
this.
And also the po' boy is like the po' boy as I know it is sort of different from what it actually is. So I'm glad that I learned because it's interesting when that happens. Like same thing with chili. Like chili is like the peppers and that's it. It's not like beef chili. You know what I mean? Like chili is like New Mexican. Like the peppers and like they make it and they shave it and they cut it up and you put it in all your food and it just looks like a bunch of peppers like cut up.
Wait a second. This is in the South, you're saying?
No, that's like what chili is. Like I learned that lesson also, like in New Mexico. Like chili is different than what I always thought chili was, which is like beans and meat in a bowl. You know what I mean? Like that's like a different kind of chili than like what like chili is according to people from New Mexico or something.
Oh, so New Mexico specifically has a different understanding of chili.
Right, but like they have a fine tradition of chili that I would argue trumps what I had thought was chili.
Do they make the sort of chili that looks like defecate?
No, it does not. Dude, it's the most beautiful, colorful looking thing you've ever seen. It's like incredible.
Huh.
And dude, it makes your stomach warm and like you feel this like warmth that isn't heartburn, but it's just warmth. And the day that I was there and I ate a bunch of chili, I said this to my friend and he goes, "You got that chili burn."
Mm.
I'm like, okay.
You know what my dad always used to say?
What?
Chili today, hot tamale.
What's your dad? Get him, Corky. Is that
Yeah,
right?
Corky, exactly. Yeah,
God
and he
bless
still
him.
makes jokes like that. And it's hard to be around.
God bless him.
Yeah, dude. So okay, you're in Biloxi, Mississippi.
No, that's where I was yesterday. Well, I didn't stay there though. I stayed in this place called Natchez,
Mm-hmm.
which I learned there's a very famous novel that takes place there. Natchez Burning, I think it's called.
Hmm.
And that was cool. Whatever. I'd never seen the Mississippi River, but dude, I do this thing, and I don't know why I do this. I don't know if you do this too, but for some reason, when I'm around people who talk a certain way, I sort of start talking like them.
Absolutely.
Sort of this way I try to like fit in. Like I kind of stopped off the road at this like ghost town site that was just like, it was literally a ghost town because there was nothing there. Like it was not an interesting thing to stop at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm come out and there's this guy who walks over and he's kind of like, "What all in there?"
Oh.
And I was like,
Tasty.
"Excuse me?" I didn't like understand what he was saying. He goes, "What all in there?" And then I was like, "Well, there ain't much in there, to be honest with you."
And you know what's funny, dude, is it's possible that your response betrayed your the fact that you're not from there, right? Like, because you said, what did you say?
Ain't much in there.
Ain't
I was
much
like,
in there.
Ain't much going on there.
Yeah, and it's possible that the correct response, if you were a native, would be like, "N'all in there."
Yeah,
and,
right.
And you saying it that way could lead to you like that scene in Inglourious Bastards when he orders 3 beers instead of 3 beers.
Oh yeah,
and that's what betrays
scene.
him. That could be your tell.
Totally. Dude, that's one thing I love about Tarantino movies is like he gets this like creative carte blanche where he's allowed to like milk us the fucking shit out of a scene. Like his scenes will be like so much unnecessary dialogue, but it makes it feel real when that like important moment happens.
Agreed.
You know?
It's weird too because I remember thinking Inglourious Bastards, Django, both those movies had very long, heavy dialogue scenes that I loved, and then in How to Make It in Hollywood or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Oh, yeah.
I hated it.
Really?
Yep, I hated that movie. And I don't say that often. And I know it's like a work of art, whatever, all of that. I just thought it was the most boring thing I'd ever.
I agree, dude. It was boring, but the end, the payout at the end was pretty nice.
It was great. The third act of the movie was great, but the rest of it was just so nothing happened. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm
Really
I'm
slow.
simple brain.
I feel like he's like, I'm going to outdo myself with boring scenes here.
Yeah. It was very like almost an elitist movie. Like if you don't appreciate this, it's your fault.
Right.
All right, really quick. So you were in Notches, and now you're in
Vicksburg,
what is it? Vicksburg?
Mississippi. Dude, so I went to this. What's up?
No, I've never heard. I mean, I've heard of some of these towns, but not really.
Right. No, I know. They're kind of like lesser traveled areas. But dude, I went to this restaurant yesterday that was recommended by a friend, and it was incredible. Like it was, I hate the term hole in the wall. I want to like get rid of that term. It's just this hole in the wall. Like the amount of times I've heard people say that, I'm like, fuck up, dude. Anyway, this place looked like it was permanently closed. Okay. Like it was really not a nice storefront at all. And it was across the street from like kind of a rough looking street. And apparently my friend sold me on this when I was in Atlanta. He's like, dude, this restaurant, he's like, Jerry Jones parks his private plane. It's like a tongue twister. Jerry Jones parks his private plane and he goes and picks up steaks from this place when he's on his way back to Texas in the middle of the Mississippi Delta. So I was like, that sounds interesting. Like, I'll go do that, whatever. So I drive through the fucking Delta for a while. While I'm listening to this like podcast that happens to take place in Mississippi. It was like a very serendipitous kind of moment. And then I get to this restaurant and dude, it was crazy. Like I was alone at first. So I was like, oh great. They're adhering to COVID guidelines. I ordered this like 2-pound steak. I don't even really like steak, but like when in Rome, I guess. And dude, before my meal was over, the room that I was in was just filled wall to wall with like very overweight white dudes. Good old boys, just being like, well, like laughing and fucking. And I definitely stuck out kind of like a sore thumb. I'm just by myself in the corner, and it was kind of, but it was fine. I mean, I had a great time.
You're doing all these meals by yourself. When you're in these restaurants, are you trying to saddle up next to someone and find a friend? Or are you sit in a corner and just observe?
I mean, I'm definitely not trying to find friends. I'm also not really going to restaurants. Like I want people, I don't want to be on the road and somehow, get sick or something, you know what I mean? Especially if all these southern states are starting to get more cases, whatever. I'm not like scared of it, but I'm trying to be cautious. And I know that like going to a bunch of restaurants isn't necessarily a good move. So I went to this place, but I made sure that I looked specifically at the county to make sure there wasn't a lot of cases there and all that stuff. So that was the only meal that I've sat down for. And I don't anticipate that I'm going to be doing that a lot more,
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Just trying to do outdoor activities, dude.
Yes. Now, you are on day 3 of this trip, right?
Yeah. This is day 3.
Think that there's any point where you will start to feel like, I think I overestimated how interesting this trip was going to be.
Definitely. And dude, I know you tried to talk me out of this when I kind of floated the idea initially. You were like, dude, what good is a trip if you can't share the experiences with anybody? It's a very good point. And what I would argue, and this is a nice bring it all together moment, I feel like I'm on this trip with our listeners, dude.
Good.
I'm getting tons of recommendations and I'm getting, tons of great feedback and people recognizing the places that I'm at. We have a lot of great listeners from the South who are so cool and have given me great recommendations. I went to this really cool like island in Alabama that somebody recommended to me that I never would have gone to otherwise. And I'm trying to hit up all the spots. So guys, thank you. And please keep sending your recommendations. By the time you hear this episode, I'm probably going to be in Eastern Texas where Robert Durst once famously hid out.
Robert Durst hid in Eastern Texas?
In Galveston.
I watched the Dunce. No,
Jinx.
The Jinx.
It's fantastic.
Oh, that's my favorite murder doc. That was the first one where I thought, oh my God, I love murder.
This genre.
Yeah, you can genre for you. I just love murder. I think, man, that was my favorite one. What a character. And I have a friend named David. He speaks very similarly to Robert Durst. And when this documentary came out, he started doing an impression of Robert Durst. We appreciate the documentary even more because to think that my friend David might commit triple murder sometime in his life was so funny. But anyway, all of that is to say, I'm really, kind of blown away that you're foraging ahead on this trip. Have you seen anything yet that really blew your mind, or is it sort of a general putting your ear to the ground and getting a sense of the tuning pitch of this part of the country?
Well, I honestly think it's both. I feel like I have made, because I made my map based on these kind of historical sites that are like these national park registered sites. So they're all maintained really well. And a lot of the time they're sort of off the beaten path. So, I'm ending up in a lot of places that I might not otherwise end up in. For example, Vicksburg, Mississippi, you know what I mean? Or even in Natchez, like an incredible view of the river, of the Mississippi River, which I don't know if I've seen before. And I would say that like every day so far, I've kind of had moments where I'm like, wow, this is fucking beautiful and different and awesome. Like, that's what I would argue. People are like, oh, there's nothing down south or whatever, like in these places that I am. But that's not true, because it's so different than what I'm used to that it's very interesting. Whereas I would argue that kind of like the Midwest is less interesting for me because it's more familiar. Like an Indiana or an Ohio is like more familiar to me than the South. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely enjoying it, man.
Wow. Well, are you mapping out where you're going to spend the night every night? Like, have you done that already? Or do you just roll into a town with a stick and all your belongings tied up in a bandana, rolling out of the fucking railroad yard and just like looking around like, where's Ma's boarding house?
Where am I lay my head tonight?
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, no. I have a little bit of experience doing these kind of drives. And one thing that I've learned is it's driving at night really fucking sucks during them, because you don't get, the whole point of it is seeing shit.
Yeah.
So, and also it can be dangerous. Like I was driving at night in Wyoming one time, and there's just like, it was like a video game, dude, with how many animals were jumping across the street. And like, I was a little high too. It was like really scary. And we got lucky and we found this like lodge. But now that I'm by myself too, like I'm in the morning or the night before, assuming so far I've stuck to the itinerary, and I'm trying to, the thing that I was shooting in Atlanta, the director said to me, he goes, how do you enjoy yourself and not just like pack things in to the point where it becomes oppressive? That's kind of a combination of what my girlfriend said to me and what he said to me. I forget exactly what he said, but I thought that was really interesting because it's true. So I was like, how do you avoid that? Because I am definitely a culprit of doing that. And he goes, be lazy. And I was like, that's really good fucking advice, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to try to be lazy, but by doing that, then I might miss my hotel. So what I'm doing, sorry, this was a long-winded answer.
No, it's okay.
The night before, I'm booking my hotel.
I see. Okay.
In my next
That's
city.
smart. Yeah. Cause then you have a true A to B endpoint, starting point. Yeah. I mean, I think it's perfect for you to read a book on the banks of the Mississippi River instead of hopping in your car and going to see the world's largest ball of yarn, or like whatever nonsense attraction is available in this shitty town you're in. I think that's still seeing the town is just drinking it in and letting it suffuse into your, I don't know, man. I just wonder, like, how many more days are you have? Like 5 more days?
No, I have like 10 more.
Holy shit. I wonder if it's some, did you rent a car or do you?
Yeah.
And so you're just going to drive this car all over the place and then eventually return it to like a Hertz in Chicago or something?
Yeah. And like when you rent it, you have to do it that way. You have to do multi-destination drop off. And it's unlimited mileage. And I rented it for X more time than I need it for, just in case.
Got it.
And
wow.
It was kind of expensive, which was, I could have like bought a car. Like a shitty car, but I could have bought a car.
Huh. Fun. Wow, that's fun. Well, I'm excited to keep hearing about your incredible adventure. That is unlike any trip I've ever heard of before.
Have you ever done anything like this?
I've taken trips before by myself on a whim, but I've always done them to places that I thought sounded really cool that I wanted to see.
For example?
Not as like, well, like Iceland. I went to
Wow,
Iceland like by myself for 4 or 5 days once.
that's sick.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. And I find that when I travel alone, I've traveled alone a few times, you really get to know yourself very well.
Totally.
You get a sense of how you get a sense of how you interact with other people, the types of people you want to spend time with. I sort of learned, you know, which types of Icelandic people I would want to spend 2 hours drinking a beer with. And
Right.
I would, you know, you can't just come up guns a-blazing and be like, "Do you mind if I join you guys? I'm a Yankee." You
Hey
know,
there.
you got to be like kind of, you know, near their table, eavesdropping a little, and then they say giggle, and then they realize you're listening, and then you like sort of sidle your way in, and you basically can't be yourself. I couldn't be myself. I had to until you got to fake it till you make it, you know, and then you can be yourself. Dude, when I was in Iceland, I saw the craziest shit I've ever fucking seen. I was at this nightclub, but it was like kind of a nightclub bar, and I think it was called B4 or B. They party harder than any people I've ever met in my life. The way it works is, first of all, 95% of the population of Iceland lives in Reykjavik or, you know, on the outskirts of Reykjavik, and that's a very small part of the country. And then maybe, you know, the entire interior of the country is uninhabitable because it's all like volcanic rock and geothermal shit.
Glacier.
So, yeah, so everybody lives kind of on what's called the ring road, like the outer circumference of the country. And I'm in Reykjavik, and I go to this nightclub place, and all the young people who don't live in Reykjavik come into Reykjavik on the weekends to party. And they stay at a friend's apartment or on the floor. They just crash, right? And they come in on Friday at like 8 p.m. and they pregame at apartments until like 1 in the morning because it's so expensive to go to these nightclubs that nobody really wants to do that and buy their drinks. So they just get shit housed at at these, you know, these little flats or whatever. And then they go out and they get super fucked up. And then the bars and nightclubs close at like 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
But there are no open container laws. So the bars and the nightclubs call last call. Everyone buys a bunch of drinks and then takes them out into the street and continues partying from like 6 a.m. until like 8 or 9 in the morning.
And what time of year was this? What was the, like, did it get dark?
There was no night.
Fucking insane.
There was no the midnight sun. And
Amazing.
I think the sun effectively went actually down for about 30 minutes where you couldn't see it, but it still cast a glow over the entire country. And it was basically like twilight for a few hours at night. And it was beautiful. I played golf one day and I walked off the 18th green. I was finishing putting at the 18th green at like 11:30. Started playing at like 7:30 p.m. And it was perfectly light. And there was a beautiful sunset basically the entire time I was playing. It was magical. But
amazing.
Dude, after they spill out into the streets after last call, they party in the streets, and that's when everyone's like just like falling over, smacking their head on fire hydrants, bleeding, going to the hospital. Like it's a mess. It's a mess, dude. Oh, and then they call like nobody has you go to the bar, so you can't bring alcohol in, but everyone needs more alcohol. And so they call these guys, basically like Uber rush guys or delivery guys who have the foresight to go to the liquor stores before they close at like 7 p.m. the night before, buy up a bunch of booze, and then also some like fruit juices and stuff to be chasers. and these people call these people, and then they deliver you booze in the street wherever you are for a markup.
Wow.
And then people just pass around like bottles of vodka and pamplemousse or whatever.
Brilliant.
So I'm out in the street with these people, and like I ended up having the post game party. Like I had
At your apartment, right?
Yeah, I had rented an Airbnb, and I had the 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. party.
Wow.
Nobody had slept, and these people are just ripping and going.
Drugs? Drugs?
I don't really know. I mean, I didn't think so. Like the people I was with weren't.
Right.
They just, and then what they do, dude, is on Saturday during the day, they don't sleep. So they pull an all-nighter Friday night partying, and then they like on the day on Saturday, but they'll go to like a beach or something and just chill and not sleep, keep drinking. And then they go out again Saturday night, and then they stay out till like, 4 a.m. or whatever. Because a lot of these people don't even have a place to stay. These kids that come in from the outskirts. And then on Sunday morning, they like get up for 48 straight hours partying. And then they like sleep all day Sunday at their parents' house or whatever, and then resume work on Monday.
That's crazy. That sounds similar to like Berlin and shit. These kids are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let me ask you this. Did you have brunch sex on Saturday after the 11 a.m. party ended?
It's a great question. I didn't. I did hook up with two different girls there, and one of them was like on the like Icelandic national basketball team or something. She's really tall.
Nice.
I hooked up with her, and I hooked up with another girl the night before who like told me she was a mom and she just had twins, but she didn't trust her, like the dad. They were divorced, so she like needed to get home because she needed to take the kids back from him. There was a lot of stuff happened that I was just like, oh my God, who are these fucking maniacs? Chris asked, what did you ask, Chris? Is the there's this theory that like all Icelandic people are related. I don't really know how true that is. I think there's some kind of family tree where they can all trace their origins to like the same original people or Vikings that came over. But there is a theory that like Icelandic people are much more willing to have sex with foreigners because it's much less likely that they're committing incest.
Right. Isn't there an app?
I've heard that too.
I feel like that might be an urban legend though.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how much of this is urban legend or not.
The app says that apparently there's this app that exists that says that you can check if you're related to somebody before you bang them. I don't know if I buy it, but in Iceland.
Too is it's a very small group of people that are going out, so you get to know everyone knows everyone else's business. And when a handsome, tall, dark stranger like me rides into town on a Thursday, everyone says,
all light stranger, dude.
Yeah, and they saddle up, you know what I'm saying?
They probably thought you're from the UK.
Well, the Brits come over a lot for like bachelor parties, but they mostly keep to themselves. I don't think they necessarily like bachelor party people that much. I was there to really learn about the culture.
Who does, dude? When I see a bachelorette party at a comedy show, I'm just like, oh boy.
God.
Especially when they're wearing penis helmets.
I think the sash on the bride-to-be thing, that like strap is such a, or if they wear the veil, like, I'm really sorry. I'm sure a lot of people do that and it's fun and all of that, but I just think it's a little silly. I really do.
Silly or not, if you come into, like, I will say this, chances are if you show up in like bachelorette party outfits at a comedy show, you're going to ruin the show. Like there's a high, the more shit you're wearing, the higher likelihood like if you see penis pens or anything like on your head, show ruined.
I'd be very keen to learn a statistic of what percentage, like how much more likely are you to get.
Sorry, how much more likely are you to what?
To get divorced if you wore a penis helmet on your bachelor party or bachelorette party. Like, I think it just goes up exponentially. If you are that excited, the more excited you are to, have, I don't know. I'm being a dick, but
No, dude, that's fair. I mean, listen, it would be an interesting thing to explore. If you're wearing penis helmets on your bachelorette party, we're not judging you necessarily, but as a whole, the group of you who do that are problematic and disruptive at shows. That can be said confidently.
I have a big thing I want to raise with you today.
Sure.
Okay, so this past weekend, I went to Woodstock, New York, like the Hudson River Valley, with my girlfriend for one of her friends' birthday parties. And it was a bunch of couples. It was like 10 people, 12 people total. So it was like 2 girls that were just sort of by themselves and then 5 couples.
Gotcha.
Big house, Airbnb, had a pool, plenty of bedrooms, was nice. So, it's not like a share house when you're 24 where you're pumping up air mattresses and sleeping on the floor of the pantry.
You vomit.
But it also wasn't like, couples not quite with kids that can afford a really sick place and it's quiet and clean and whatever.
Right.
So somewhere in the middle. The deal was that every couple or pair was assigned a meal to make for the entire house.
Oh, wow.
And it's cool in a way. Like these people, this group of friends is pretty organized and like they're very ahead of the curve, and they just get their shit together, and they're like, okay, they told us we were going to do breakfast on Saturday morning, and my girlfriend's a really good cook, and she had the foresight to make a couple big vats of like homemade green juice with our juicer, which I've told you about. And she brought that for everybody, and it's, all organic and fucking incredible. And then she made these 2 homemade quiches, and we picked mushrooms at like a farm stand, as well as some wild strawberries, which we then also used and made individualized fruit and yogurt parfaits with homemade granola that she'd made.
This is fucking insane, dude.
It would have been like a $70 breakfast in New York City. Was
that a flex? Like, did you guys know you had to bring your A game because you were cooking for everyone?
I think there's definitely some pride. My girlfriend, I have to give her all the credit. Like but she's also like, she's cooked these things for me before, just not usually all together. So I think she was bringing out her like breakfast A team,
And dude, your way around the kitchen too. I mean, you guys are culinary
appreciate
wise.
that. But, I let her like lead the charge, and I cut the strawberries, whatever. Some people fucking crushed it. There was like a pulled pork dinner. Some people made dumplings. One couple made dumplings that were really good with this like kind of slaw salad. But here's the thing. This is where, on Sunday night, I swear to you, on Sunday night, my phone starts going off, and it's Venmo request after request after Venmo request.
Oh, wow.
And it was everybody in the house had itemized using the app Splitwise. Do you know Splitwise?
No.
It's like an app that lets you kind of just put expenses in and then like divvy it up evenly across a big group of people.
Right.
And it's a good app. I just hate it because it never comes out in my favor. But so I'm getting hit with all these things, right? And it turned out that everybody who had cooked their own meal had kept track of exactly what they'd spent on groceries to cook their meal, and was just charging everybody for everything, from things as little as like salt to soy sauce to like, dude, I'm not kidding you. It was fucking bananas. And I'm 31 years old, right? And my, I come to this thing. We cooked this incredible meal. My impression is everybody had their own meal.
Just pay for it.
It comes out in the wash. Like,
right.
You pay for the shit for your meal. So, maybe, like, if you're going to cook like elk steaks we agree that's maybe a more expensive. Nobody did that. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was no fucking white truffle risotto that needed to be subsidized. So, dude, the one guy put into the Splitwise, his thing was, it said Japanese gross. He spent $14.29 and he split that between 11 people. So like, we each had to pay like $1.31 to this dude.
That's the most type A weekend I've ever heard of in my life, dude.
Dude, it infuriated me. It made me so angry because, beyond that, we stopped in the New Hampshire State Liquor Store on the way from Maine there and picked up like a full case of wine, which we just like put into the communal pool. We bought 2 bottles of mezcal and some lime juice and made like mezcal margaritas for people.
Amazing.
And our theory was like, all right, we'll drink a few beers, we'll drink a few of these like spiked seltzer drinks, and people have access to us. Like it's a walk.
Right.
Single person put everything that they bought into this thing, and they're all just trying to reduce their debt to zero. They're trying to balance their debt book using this app.
So insane.
And
Sucks.
to be Venmo requested $1.31 for Japanese grocery store. I can't tell you what that does to your fragile brain on a Sunday night when you haven't had much sleep, you've been drinking all weekend, and you just feel disgusting. I wanted to fucking punch a wall.
Oh my God. Dude, this is the thing. Like, it's so common sense to me that like you make a meal, you pay for it. Everyone else makes their meal, they pay for it. That's the same thing. Sure, maybe one person will spend a little more, but like, that's okay. It's a weekend with friends. Like, Jesus, why are you turning this into a homework assignment?
Exactly. And I understand. We all know there are exceptions. If you go out to a mass with that group and somebody takes down the restaurant bill, obviously put that in there and we're going to split that. If you spend $300 at a liquor store, split it. That's fine. But $14.29 at Japanese grocery store, you should eat that, buddy. Fucking eat it. At that point, I was like, well, all right, fine. I handed out, I passed around a joint that I brought, and this person took a puff, and this person took a puff. That girl over there held it for 2 minutes, just letting it burn, even though she didn't puff it herself. How much do I charge her for that? I wanted to ding people for joint puffs. 20 cents here, $1 there. Like, this guy really ripped it,
Dude, it is equivalent. You know what you should have done? You should have handed the guy $1. Decline the Venmo request and hand him $1. Be like, I have 29 cents in the car.
Yeah, let me owe you the 20. Dude,
You're right about the joint math. You're right about that, dude. Like that is fair given what was happening.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think, look, at a certain point, you just age out of keeping track, and there's a relief that comes with that. And that relief, even if you feel sometimes that you've gotten kind of fucked because you spent more than everyone else, the relief outweighs that feeling of getting fucked.
Absolutely.
So, dude, I don't really like, I think I'm kind of over 10 to 12 person house weekends in general. I think I'm like a 3-couple max. But the problem is the kitchen just gets so shitty. People don't really pull their weight. Like, towels sit around saturating and rotting. And you know what I mean? That rotting towel thing.
That smell of like mildew and must. It's gross.
Like, why would I want to go why would I pay to go live in squalor for the weekend?
I know. Dude, I did a weekend with the boys in Nantucket when I was like 24, and I swore I'd never do it again after and I never have
Dude,
since.
I used to do all of June and July in Montauk for like 3 or 4 straight years with like 14 or 15 of my friends. And
Crazy.
fortunately, you know, from the first year when we were like 23 or 24 until the last year I did it, less people would do it each time, and we would just pay more so that we could have more capacity.
That's great.
But dude, even you put 10 dudes in a house, I mean, it's the second someone gives up, everyone gives up.
Yes. And then it becomes you trash the fucking house.
Yeah, it's what's that book about the guy, the kids on the island who you know,
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies. Yes, there's Lord of the Flies, dude. It's fucking mayhem. It's anarchy. So
Crazy. Man.
Anyway, dude, I'm gonna let you go because I want you to go see the fucking world. But great to see you. Keep up the good work. Keep me posted. Stay safe. Don't start any fights. And you know,
Or fires.
do you, man?
Yeah, no fireworks, dude. I've seen the fireworks tents. I'm not going to them.
I hear you. The fireworks are going off here in New York last night, which was really nice. Just caught up. But we sat on a street corner at a restaurant, and there were fireworks going off half a block away.
Crazy.
And they go off sporadically, like one at a time. There's no grand finale. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no like, oh, here, ooh, look at that one. There's no point. And it's just anarchy, and it's fucking infuriating. So
all right, man. Well, fucking good luck in New York.
thanks, pal.
Guys, thanks for listening to the pod as always. Check out our YouTube channel. We got every episode there in full. Obviously our Instagram. Check out our clips and all that stuff. And if you have any interesting stories or mistakes that you've made, send them to oopsthepodcast@gmail.com or at oopsthepodcast on Instagram. Francis, you got anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Adios.